What's up, viewers? This is Bill, and believe it or not, I'm on number 3 of the 5 days of vlogging, and it's actually kind of a challenge. I'm really surprised. It's great if you can plan maybe a week's worth of activities to do each day, and it does make vlogging a little bit easier, but to sit there and try to come up with something every day and hopefully something happens in your day that makes it somewhat interesting that you can make a vlog about is really quite the challenge. Anyway, I do have something planned for today, so that's good. One thing I wanted to talk about is, you know, it seems like whenever the government tries to regulate something for your own good anyway, it always seems to cost the consumer or the taxpayer money. Case in point is this new sugar tax that they've imposed since January in 2018 here in the Philippines. It's a tax on things with artificial sugar on it. Now, their argument or basis was that it was twofold. One, that it was taking away money from the raw sugar that they produce here in the Philippines, and number two, well, no, it was number two. Number two, and the second item they complain about is that it adds to obesity. So it's kind of like a health thing. So we're doing this for your own good, but at the same time we're going to tax it. It's things that have been taxed that we've had to suffer for in our restaurant is the shake powders all have artificial sugar in them, so they've been taxed, have a little bit more. So there's been a price increase on the product there, the powders. Case in point is, for an example, is the iced teas that we sell. We sell apple and lemon iced tea. At one point, the packets were 7 pesos, 7.25 pesos a pack, and they have jumped now up to 16 to 17 pesos a pack. So we've had to increase the price, which is too bad because it was kind of a cheap alternative for some of the students when they really couldn't afford a liter of Coke. They could use the iced teas and stuff, and still everybody can have a little bit of a drink. Of course, that's also been affected too, is the pop has gone up, the soda pop has gone up, the Mountain Dew, the Coke, the Sprite, all of them have also had an increase. We've had to increase the price of that too. So, you know, it's tough because I knew something was going on because we were having a tough time actually getting some of our shake powders for our shakes. And what was happening was the suppliers were holding back because they knew the price increase was coming in January, so they were holding back their old products. So then when the price increase kicked in, when the sugar tax kicks in January, they get their old stock, which they got for wholesale price, they gets a higher markup on it, and they make more money. So we knew something was going on, and sure enough, that's what. So it's kind of affected that, and we've had to adjust some of the prices, and that's some of the challenge that you have as a restaurant. You're trying to keep prices though. You know, I don't really want to increase prices. I want to make it, you know, that a student or a family can come and eat and have a decent meal, and at a reasonable price. But sometimes the economics just doesn't allow that. So anyway, that's our story with the 2018 sugar tax, artificial sugar tax. It's affected soda pops, mixed drinks, powdered shakes, all that kind of stuff. Anything with artificial sugar that has seen a price increase due to this new tax. And you know, once again, it adds more money to the coffers of the government, and they're over concern for trying to keep people from becoming obese. Now on to that. Now we got that under the table. I was going to talk about that yesterday, and I couldn't fit it in. I was like, and I was going to bring up a day before, but I thought I'd bring it up now, so that's done with. It's off the table. What are we going to do today? Today, once again, it's really hot out there. It's noon, so it's not the good time right now. But when it kind of cools down a little bit, around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, if I have a chance, I want to take this camera that I actually purchased when I was in Chicago. It's a Chinese-made action camera that was kind of a backup to the GoPro. So as you know, when I was in Chicago, I was juggling, trying to decide what was the best deal I could get as far as getting a drone and a camera and a gimbal. And the GoPro Karma was going to answer all 3 of that. And then when they decided to drop the production of it, I'm glad I stopped. I'm glad I didn't get it. Anyway, so I had to make up for the action camera. I wanted to get some sort of backup to my GoPro Hero 4. It works great. I've had no problems, but that doesn't mean one day I drop it and that's the end of it. So I got that backup camera. We're going to give that a shot today. I did buy the gimbal, as you know, and we'll put that on the gimbal. It does 4K at 25 frames per second, which I think GoPro Hero does 4K at 12, if I'm not mistaken, 12 frames per second. So whether we can tell the difference in quality, I don't know, but we're going to give that a shot. All right, everybody, we're actually going to try the ZONKO Chinese action camera that I got off of Amazon. I think at the time I got it on sale for like 45 bucks. It usually goes for about 50, 55 bucks. But truth be told, that these action cameras from China are all the same. They all have different names on them, and a little bit of variation of price, but the functionality of these are all the same. Now, this thing does 1080p at 30 frames a second and 60. It does 4K at 25 frames per second. We'll be shooting once in 1080p at 30 frames a second, which is my standard speed, and then we're going to bump it up to 4K at 25 frames a second. Now, my GoPro Hero 4, which is considerably more expensive than this, does 15 frames per second, I believe. So this thing should have a little bit more clarity. Now, of course, you're going to need a 4K TV to actually see the difference. If you don't, then it will kind of dial it down. But from my understanding, it does a very clear 1080p, almost better than 1080p. So you get that, but you don't get true 4K colors. But we're going to see what it's like anyway, and we'll give it a shot. I'll be using the gimbal on there for stabilization. Probably just do a walk around to the abandoned house and back. I will put the link down below. You guys can check it up on Amazon. I am an affiliate with Amazon, so I get maybe $1 or $2 if someone decides to buy it. If they don't worry. But as I said, you really can't go wrong. They're all the different brands. They're all basically the same. So I'm not going to say this is the best brand ever. They're all the same. So you really can't go wrong with it. For $50, like I said, it's a great camera to have. The GoPro is high and far above the standard of these things, but the price difference between a $400 action camera and a $50 one, well, we're going to let you guys decide on the quality. As I said, once if you lose this in the water, you're not going to cry too much. It's a 2,500 peso loss, and you're like, you might be angry, but it's not that angry. You lose a GoPro, a $400 camera in the water, and you're spend the next hour or two looking for it, and then you go home empty-handed. So anyway, let's check it out right now.